The first message arrived late at night, lighting up his phone while his wife slept beside him. He stared at the screen longer than he should have before replying. She wrote like she already knew him, teasing, confident, asking harmless questions that somehow felt intimate even through text. He told himself it was nothing, just conversation, just words passing time between meetings and long workdays. Over the next few days, the chats became a routine, filling the quiet spaces when his wife was busy or tired or distracted by life. This woman laughed at his jokes in ways his wife no longer did, sending emojis and voice notes that lingered in his thoughts. He began deleting the messages, not because they were wrong, he claimed, but because they were private and could be misunderstood. One evening, she asked if he was happy. He typed a careful answer that avoided the truth but invited sympathy. She replied instantly, saying happiness was something people deserved, not something they had to earn through sacrifice. In that moment, he felt seen, understood, validated in a way that made him uneasy, yet addicted. Soon, the chats stretched past midnight. The glow of his phone replacing sleep, the guilt softened by a rush of excitement. She hinted at meeting, framing it as harmless coffee, just a chance to talk without screens between them. He hesitated in his text, but imagined it vividly, her voice without filters, her eyes watching him instead of typed words. At home, his wife noticed the distance, the way he smiled at nothing, the way his phone never left his hand. She asked gently at first, joking about secret work drama or new friends, and he just laughed a little too quickly. The chats turned bolder, the compliments sharper, the boundaries blurred but never crossed outright. She started speaking poorly of marriage, calling it a cage disguised as comfort, a slow erasure of desire. He didn't defend his wife, and that silence felt louder than any agreement. When they finally met for that coffee, it felt scripted, like a scene written long before it happened. They talked for hours, sitting too close, sharing stories that should have stayed at home. He went back that night feeling lighter and heavier at the same time, lying beside his wife with his eyes wide open in the dark. The messages intensified after that, filled with inside jokes and references only they understood, moments replayed in text. His wife found the change impossible to ignore. His emotional absence was more painful than any argument could ever be. She confronted him one night, calm but trembling, asking who he was talking to like that. He denied it at first, then minimized it, calling it harmless and accusing her of being insecure. She didn't cry then. She just nodded, and that scared him more than anger ever would have. The other woman suggested they give each other some space, pretending to be considerate while quietly deepening her hold on him. He felt torn, stretched thin between loyalty and temptation, convincing himself he was still in control. Then came the message that changed everything, an invitation that crossed the line without touching it. She wrote about a weekend away, framing it as a chance for clarity, for honesty, as something they both needed. He stared at the words for a long time, heart racing, knowing there was no innocent reply left. At home, his wife cooked his favorite meal, completely unaware of the decision forming in silence. He almost confessed then, almost chose honesty, but fear held his tongue. Instead, he wrote back with hesitation masked as curiosity, a response that kept the door wide open. That night, his wife finally cried, not loudly, but in the quiet way that breaks something permanent. She told him she felt replaced while still standing right beside him, invisible in her own home. He tried to comfort her without telling the truth, and the lie felt heavier than ever before. The next day, she didn't ask any more questions. She watched, she listened, and she began her own quiet search. She found the messages not by accident, but by patience, waiting for the truth to reveal itself. Reading them felt like watching someone else's marriage collapse, sentence by sentence. But she didn't confront him immediately. She chose understanding over reaction, strength over chaos. Instead, she prepared, gathering her clarity, deciding what she would accept and what she would not. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady. She asked him to read his own words aloud. Hearing them outside his head stripped them of their fantasy and left only the cold, hard fact of betrayal. She then asked one simple question: did he want a marriage or did he want an escape? Just then, the other woman messaged again, impatient now, pushing him to choose. His wife stood in front of him, real, wounded, waiting. He realized then that the excitement was borrowed, temporary, built on a destruction he would have to live with forever. He ended the chats that night, not with drama, but with finality. The other woman responded with anger, then mockery, then silence. At home, the air was heavy but honest, with pain replacing pretense. His wife didn't forgive him immediately, and he didn't ask her to. They spoke for hours about neglect, about loneliness, about how easily attention becomes temptation. Some nights were cold, some conversations were brutal, but none of them were dishonest anymore. Trust rebuilt itself slowly, not through promises, but through consistency and humility. Months later, the phone no longer held secrets, just ordinary noise. The memory of those chats lingered as a warning, not a desire. He learned that betrayal doesn't begin with a touch, but with the first message answered too eagerly. And she learned that strength is not staying silent, but choosing yourself before you disappear completely. Their marriage survived, not untouched, but transformed, scarred, yet real. The story ended not with revenge or drama, but with truth reclaiming what silence had almost destroyed. And the phone, once a doorway to escape, became just a device again, powerless without secrecy. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content that explores the complexities of human relationships.